As a divided U.S. Supreme Court weighs two landmark cases on same-sex marriage, Time magazine is out right now with not one but two controversial covers declaring that the battle already has been won. The Time managing editor, Rick Stengel, cover story, gay marriage already won. The Supreme Court hasn't made up its mind, but America has. How did you decide, Rick, on these two covers, two men kissing, two women kissing?
Well, equal opportunity, Wolf. I thought the idea was that basically the American public, certainly more than half of people, 3/4 of people under the age of 30, accept this idea of gay marriage. They welcome this idea of gay marriage. They believe in the idea of love between same-sex couples. So I thought it was only fair to have a male same-sex couple and a female same-sex couple.
So what's been the reaction to these covers out there? They're going to be on newsstands, I assume, in some areas, some parts of the country, some evangelical parts of the country. They might not be thrilled with these covers.
Well, I mean, and that may well be the case. There may be some people uncomfortable with it. But one of the calculations that I made is that America is basically embracing this idea of gay marriage. And I wanted people to see the love that is at the heart of some same-sex marriages, and I think these pictures do demonstrate that. I think they're lovely and beautiful, and in some ways they're a kind of Rorschach test, how people react to them.
Have you gotten any information from any companies out there right now that they won't put these Time magazine covers out there on newsstands?
No, I haven't heard from one to that effect, Wolf. It's still early. But as you know, I mean, there are so many corporations now in America that have endorsed the idea of same-sex marriage, big companies that are, a lot of whom are advertisers in Time, and I welcome that.
I know that Time magazine, I assume you still have an international edition, right? Would you use the same covers out there, send it out all over the world?
No, this was not the cover in our international editions. It was a different cover.
Because I assume in the Muslim example, you wouldn't be allowed in many countries to sell a magazine with covers like this. Is that would that be a part of the reason you wouldn't put these pictures on covers of international editions of Time magazine?
Well, actually, that wasn't part of the calculation. It was a very American story. Christine Lagarde is on the cover of our international editions, and there's a story on her in the domestic edition. So it's just that there are different audiences, and this just didn't seem like it was of the moment for an international audience.
Well, speaking of Christine Lagarde, the IMF chief, you have an interesting interview in the new issue with her, and you also deal with the issue of Cyprus and how that could spill over and affect not only Cyprus, but Europe, even maybe the United States. There's been reaction from some of the right-wing radio talk show hosts out there. Let me play a couple of clips.
Socialism is rising, and if you're wondering if your money is safe here in America, I don't blame you. Because what's happening on the tiny island nation of Cyprus is a textbook definition of spreading the wealth.
Can't happen here, Mr. Limbaugh. Just simply cannot happen. The public is too aware. The public wouldn't put up with something like that. Oh, really? Public wouldn't put up with, say, Warren Buffett having 40% of what he has taken away from him?
So what did she say about the fear that some might have, here, even here in the United States, that there could be a really negative spillover effect from what's happening in Cyprus right now on the United States?
Right. Well, the point that Ms. Lagarde makes in the piece, Wolf, is that the problems of Europe are in some ways particular to Europe and are not relevant to the U.S. One of the problems, she said, is there really is no central bank in Europe, that each of these countries, including countries like Cyprus, that are responsible for its own losses, its own debts, and there's no kind of single backstop like the Federal Reserve here in the United States. So I think that is one very large and very significant difference.
Rick, managing editor of Time magazine. Rick, thanks very much for coming.